I now want to call up ZOA Campus Managing Director Jonathan Ginsberg and his staff, along with the great Myron Zimmerman, to present the Myron Zimmerman Outstanding College Activism Award. Would you please come up? And also, Myron, please come up and join them too as well. Big round of applause, everybody, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. First?
Yeah, we're going to take a picture.
Okay.
Where do you want me to stand? We'll take a picture first. We'll take a picture first. Okay. You should have shots there. I'll go on the other side. This way. There we go. Right. I don't want to block you. I don't want to block you. You sure? Okay.
Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you. He's going to speak. Yeah, we're going to. And then, hang here. Okay, thank you.
Hey, everyone. Thank you very much. One thing I have learned in this profession, we do pictures often first. It's very important. But my name is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm the Managing Director of ZOA's Campus Department. It's an honor to be here alongside our amazing ZOA campus team who are on the ground and at the forefront supporting Zionist students and defending the state of Israel in some of the most difficult environments in this country, American college campuses. Since October 7th, 2023, Jewish students have faced harassment, intimidation, and violence from pro-Hamas students as well as faculty. Calls for intifada have been heard frequently. Centers for Jewish life, such as Chabad and Hillel houses, have been targeted. Let it be clear, ZOA campus and the proud Zionist students we work with will never be deterred. Our class of over 40 ZOA campus fellows across the country at schools such as Cornell University, UC Berkeley, Boston University, and many more have led the way through community mobilization and educational programs about Israel's just and defensive war against Hamas and Hezbollah and Iran's wider terror network. Over the past semester, ZOA has proudly co-sponsored dozens of campus events, including having hosted IDF soldiers who bravely fought on October 7th and over the course of the past 12 months in protection of our one and only Jewish homeland. We're especially grateful to ZOA board member Myron Zimmerman for supporting our work at ZOA campus. And we are honored to present Shabbos Kestenbaum with the Myron Zimmerman Award for Outstanding Student Activism. As a graduate student at Harvard University, Shabbos not only faced, but actively confronted an environment steeped in anti-Semitism with unyielding courage and integrity. Through op-eds, congressional testimony, and ultimately as a lead plaintiff in a lawsuit against Harvard, Shabbos has exposed the alarming rise of anti-Semitism within academia, shedding light on the struggles of that Jewish students endure, and exemplifying what it means to be a proud Zionist. Thank you, Shabbos. We're honored and inspired by your activism.
On what grounds are you suing?
I mean, how much time you got? Breach of contracts, diminished educational opportunities, flagrant violations of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act.
I want to thank you for having me this afternoon. By inviting me, you've actually already done more than Harvard University has ever done for its Jews, which is listening to us. My name is Shabbos Kestenbaum. I'm a second-year master's student at Harvard. I'm a proud Jew. I'm a proud American. And yes, I'm a proud progressive. The time for Congress to act is now. Am Yisrael Chai.
Wow. Wow. Wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I was not expecting a video. That's a first for me. I definitely need a haircut. You know, it's funny, when I was walking in and the protesters started calling me a baby killer, I thought to myself, wow, I didn't know it was a Harvard class reunion today. In fact, when Ambassador Ardone was being heckled, I thought to myself, oh my God, Claudine Gay, where did you come from? So look, I first very sincerely, very honestly want to thank Mr. Zimmerman, Mort Klein, Alan, Susan, the entire ZOA. I addressed the Conference of Major Presidents of Jewish Organizations a couple of months ago. Within an hour, Mort Klein called me and offered me a job on the spot. That's what leadership is, and there have unfortunately been a very, very select few Jewish nonprofits who've amplified the voices of Jewish students, and ZOA certainly stands alone. So thank you, thank you, thank you. To show you how not used I am to being honored with anything, when I started writing my speech, I started by saying it's an honor just to be nominated, and then I realized it doesn't really make sense. So when Mort asked me if I would accept this honor, I originally said no. I haven't really done anything noteworthy or mentionable, but then he said, well, David Friedman will be there, so I said, Mort, what time do you need me? So it really is a pleasure to be in such esteemed presence. Look, I could tell you all about and spend hours and hours about the physical assault against a Jewish student at Harvard Business School. I could tell you about the Jewish undergrad at Harvard who was spat on for wearing a kippah. I could tell you about the Israeli student at Harvard who was told by her professor to leave the classroom because her nationality made other students uncomfortable. I could tell you about the Harvard employee who vandalized all of the hostage posters, writing on Kfir Bibas that his head is still on, where is the evidence? Writing on Noah Argamani that Jews are best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He then challenged me to debate him in a secluded underpass as to whether Jews were behind 9/11, and then threatened me with a machete. I had private armed security outside my house. I had a guy with a gun follow me to Chabad to make sure I was okay. I could tell you about all of that, but I refuse to allow the Jewish narrative to be defined by our ideological adversaries. So instead, I want to do something else, and I want to tell you a story. You haven't even heard the story yet. By the way, you don't have to clap, you just have to laugh. I think I'm hilarious, but as my mom on table 15 will tell me, I'm not, so please laugh. It is no secret I spoke at the Republican convention. The morning of I offered to speak at the Democratic convention. I'm still waiting for them to call me back. The morning of my speech, a limo picks me up from my hotel, which is a pretty cool sentence. If I date your granddaughters, I'm going to tell her that story. And they take me to the convention arena. At the convention arena, the stage manager of the RNC was a man by the name of Eric. And Eric tells me, Mr. Kestenbaum, this is the podium you're going to use. That's the teleprompter to look at. This is what your hair and makeup is going to look like. As you can tell by how I'm dressed, I didn't care how I was going to look. Off the record, what was on the teleprompter and the speech I gave were two very different things. And don't tell that to Trump. And I did not care about the teleprompter. After 2 hours of doing the walkthrough, he keeps saying, Mr. Kestenbaum, do you have any questions? And again, I really didn't. As I opened the door of the limo, I turned around and I say, Eric, I actually have one question. Can you promise me when I give that speech later tonight, in front of 30,000 people in the arena, in front of the former President of the United States, in front of tens of millions of Americans who are watching, can you promise me that the camera that is televising my speech will be able to see that I'm wearing a kippah? That is the only question I asked, because I have two friends, well, I have more than two friends, although not by much. I have two friends at Harvard University who, in response to October 7th, have taken off their kippah. I can show you a list in my phone of hundreds of Jewish students across North America who, in response to October 7th, have taken off their kippah, have tucked in their Star of David necklace, have ceased their involvement with Jewish life on campus. And I thought, irregardless of the substance of my speech, irrespective of the words coming out of my mouth, the only thing I wanted to show in that speech was that in the 21st century, young American Jews can and should and must be wearing their Jewish pride as loudly and publicly and confidently as ever before. And in fact, that night, I was in the speaker's lounge. I was eating chips with J.D. Vance, and Tim Walz is right. They are a little weird. And a woman, it's okay. Don't tell Trump I said that either. A woman comes to get me and says, Mr. Kestenbaum, your speech is up, please follow me. We walk down a long corridor, we're flanked by Secret Service on either side. We get to a small room backstage. The small room backstage is 4 people. It's myself, it's Lee Zeldin, who was actually last year's Zimmerman recipient, and it was Omer Nutra's parents. Omer Nutra, of course, is the American Jewish civilian still being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. He just observed his 23rd birthday 2 weeks ago. This is the second birthday he has spent as a hostage in Gaza. And I go to his parents, Ronen and Orna, and I tell them, there is nothing I can say, there is certainly nothing I can do. I just want to add that the courage, the bravery, and the inspiration you have given me is something I will never be able to repay for the rest of my life. And with that, I walked out of the backstage room. I cried a little, and remember the Republicans had me in makeup, so the mascara was all right. Someone? Tough crowd. And I have been privileged and blessed and fortunate the last 13 months to have met some pretty cool people. I helped accompany President Trump to the Ohel of the Rebbe. I've been able to give some pretty big speeches. I've been able to go to some pretty cool places. I can promise you, none of them hold a candle to the 2-minute conversation I had with Omer Nutra's parents. Because take it from me, young American Jews have woken up after October 7th, and we are simply not going back to sleep. After October 7th, I bought a one-way ticket to Israel. I spent 3 weeks digging graves for soldiers who were killed in Gaza. I spent 3 weeks delivering supplies to army bases. I spent 3 weeks playing guitar and singing songs for injured civilians in the hospitals. And they said, please, we've suffered enough because I don't have a very good voice. And I did that because, yes, I wanted to get the hell out of Harvard's campus. But it's also because never in my life have I felt more connected to the land of Israel, more attached to the people of Israel, and more proud and confident of my Jewish identity and to fight for that identity as publicly and confidently as ever before. And in fact, when I was checking in at Boston's Logan Airport for that one-way trip, which, again, it was really round trip, but American Airlines canceled the return ticket because there was a war. When I was checking in with the 15 duffel bags full of bulletproof whatever, a young girl comes up to me. She could not have been older than 15. I don't know her name. I had never seen her before, and I haven't seen her since. And she has an Israeli flag in one hand and an American flag in the other hand. She's blasting Hebrew music. She comes up to me and says, here, take this. She hands me an envelope. I realize what's inside this envelope. It's dozens and dozens of $100 bills. I tell this young girl, I said, there's no way I can accept this. I kid you not, this young girl, she could not have been older than 15, hugs me, and with tears streaming down from her face, crying, take this envelope, please give it to the first person you see in Israel. A month ago, I was giving a talk in Miami, and because it was Miami, the average age of the audience was deceased. And a woman gets up, you know I'm right, you know I'm not wrong. And a woman gets up in the middle of my speech and she says, I want to add something. And I'm someone who gets death threats from the far left and the far right. See, I'm very bipartisan. Both sides want to kill me. I've been heckled. I've been criticized nonstop. I've had rocks thrown through campus windows when I speak. It's never a good sign when someone says, I just want to add something in the middle of your speech. She gets up. I kid you not. She says, my name is Regina. I am 102 years old. I am a survivor. See, God's waiting room. I am a survivor of Majdanek. I am a survivor of Bergen-Belsen. I am a survivor, and I fought in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. We will get through this because we've gotten through it before. And she sits back down. I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of the young people, those young American Jews who, in response to being told to go back to Poland, in response to having their mezuzahs being torn down dorm windows, in response to having swastikas being drawn in their classrooms, I am telling you we will get through it because we've gotten through it before. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. I'll conclude by saying one last thing. My brother is in Israel. He just had a kid. The first day of that nephew's existence was spent in a bomb shelter because he was born the day Iran launched 200 ballistic missiles into Israel. The child, my nephew, had a Brit Milah circumcision a few weeks ago on October 7th. The next day, that father's child, my brother, puts on a uniform and reports to reserve duty in Lebanon. And I text my brother and I tell him, what's going through your mind? What are you thinking? And he says, what an unbelievable privilege. For the first time in 3,000 years, I have a country to defend. I have a uniform to put on, and I have a people, I have a family, I have a land worth defending. It is that brother, it is that 15-year-old girl, it is that Regina in Miami, it is leaders and visionaries like Mort Klein, who I can guarantee you we are standing on the shoulders of giants. And let me conclude by saying this. Let me conclude by saying this. We young people did not want this fight. We did not ask for this fight. We did not make this problem, but we will be the ones to solve this problem. And it is no secret, yes, I very much hope to please God have a position in the Trump White House, but regardless, I will, that's why when Mort said David Freeman would be here, I canceled my plans. But regardless of any position or any capacity, I promise you, I and the thousands of Jewish students on college campuses who I'm accepting that award on behalf of will fight for the Jewish future, will fight for the Jewish homeland, will fight for Jewish values. After October 7th, Israel began attacking our enemies by the air, by the sea, and by the land. I cannot affect that outcome. Trust me, the IDF doesn't want me. What I can do is fight in the battlefront of ideas. I can fight in the court of law, I can fight in the court of public opinion, I can fight in the halls of Congress, I can fight in the halls of power, I can fight in media, I can fight in social media. And that is a fight that each and every one of you, if you care about the vitality, the strength, and the future of the Jewish people, join me, join those brave Jewish students on college campuses, join the ZOA, join us in that fight. And I can assure you, regardless of a position, regardless of a capacity, we will be fighting, and we hope you join us. And if you do that, you will be a living, breathing testament. You will be a living, breathing testament to the adage, to the ideal, to the promise that Am Yisrael Chai, that the Jewish people live and the Jewish people will always live. May God bless the United States. May He bless the land of Israel. May He bless, protect, and return the hostages in Gaza now, 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 now. Thank you very much.